on NBC. Baseball's 39th All Star Game. Its tradition shaped by these men comes to the Houston Astrodome today, with the state of Texas adding something new to that tradition, the first All-Star Game to be televised at night, and the first one played indoors. From his birth in Chicago in 1933, as the dream of the late Arch Ward, sports editor of the Chicago Tribune, to Houston's palatial eighth wonder of the world, the All-Star Game has annually been the showcase of baseball's best, with the starting lineup selected by the major leaguers themselves. The National League leads the series with 20 victories. The American League has won 17, and there's been one tie. Deep in the heart of Texas, welcome to the 35th anniversary mid-season baseball classic. From Houston, at the Astrodome, NBC Sports presents the 1968 All-Star Game, brought to you by
Gillette, makers of super stainless blades and right guard deodorant, and by the makers of Anison.
Truck from Chrysler Canada Limited.
Gillette, makers of super stainless blades and right guard deodorant, and by the makers of Anison.
I'm Kurt Gowdy to call the play-by-play for you. Pee Wee Reese, Sandy Koufax will be analyzing. We had a rain most of the day here that left everybody unconcerned in Houston because they knew it would be play ball tonight under perfect conditions, air-conditioned theater comfort. We'll have a standing room crowd of 52,000, and they'll be watching to see if the American League can end a 5-year domination, a 5-year winning streak of the National League. The National League is the favorite, based on recent history and a better rested pitching staff that Sandy will be telling you about. And we have two Mr. Zeros starting, two right-handers, Don Drysdale of the Dodgers in the National League, and Louis Tiant of the Indians in the American League will be the starting pitchers. They have each thrown 7 shutouts in the first half of the season. And Pee Wee, this is the National League part. And these National League players have all played in here over the years since the Astrodome was built. Many of the American Leaguers are seeing it for the first time. Do you think this will be an advantage for the National League?
No way, Kurt. No way. Now, I went out with these fellas on the infield before the game with Brooks Robinson, Fregosi, Carew, and Killebrew. And they say if the National League can catch this ball off the AstroTurf, we're professionals. There's no reason why we shouldn't catch it. And if the American League loses, it won't be because of the AstroTurf.
All right. Now, of course, in a short series or one game, it's usually pitching that tells the story. What about the pitching here tonight, Sandy?
Well, Kurt, I think in that department, I think the National League has the edge. Not that they have the better pitching. They are carrying 1 extra pitcher. They have 8, where the American League only has 7. And of the 7 pitchers the American League has, 5 of them started on Sunday, including Louis Tiant, who was starting the game for the American League. And the National League only has 2 that pitched on Sunday. One is Jerry Kuzman, who pitched with 1 batter, and Tom Seaver, who pitched 1 inning. Everybody else is well rested. Don Drysdale, a starter, is going with his normal 3 days rest. So I think that could favor the National League here tonight.
All right, now let's take a trip around the interior here of the Astrodome. And to be your host is the fine announcer of the Houston Astros, Mr. Gene Elston.
Thank you, Kurt. Most happy to have all of you with us tonight. The Houston Astros are proud to have NBC and all you fans in the Astrodome, the fabulous Astrodome, the 8th wonder of the world. So let's see what the place looks like. For the first time in history, the All-Star Game will be played in air-conditioned comfort under a dome high enough to place a 12-story building. Being a perfectly symmetrical ballpark, there are few problems involved when it comes to the batted ball. Fences are 340 down each foul line, 390 to right and left center fields, and 406 to center. Now, you'll note the yellow lines in the fences. Any ball hitting this line or above is a home run. Now, the dugouts here in the Astrodome are the longest in baseball, 120 feet, which also includes the bullpen, pitchers, and catchers. Spectators walk down 80% of the stadium seats, more than any other stadium. The seating capacity here is 45,000 for baseball. All seats are theater-type cushion chairs, color-coded to match the spectator's ticket. Seating is on 6 levels, with the field seats mechanically movable for football seating. 5 restaurants, 2 private clubs for baseball stadiums, and more than tomorrow, it's modern. And as if that's not enough, let's take a look into the far reaches of the 9th level here at the Astrodome. Now, don't think by the pictures we're leaving baseball and the Astrodome. On the contrary, this is a look into one of the over 50 luxurious skyboxes on the 9th level. Boxes containing 24 to 30 seats adjacent to the club room. Each club room is individually designed with a different motif. Magnificently furnished and containing all the comforts, as you can see, telephone, radio, television, even closed-circuit TV for viewing the ball game that's in progress and will be here tonight. Restroom, ice maker, and bar, and of course, special elevators take the skybox holders to their very special club rooms. You know, many adjectives have been used to describe the Astrodome, but somehow they all seem inadequate. You know, it is generally agreed that no one man could have built the Astrodome. But without Judge Roy Hoffheinz, owner and president of the Houston Sports Association, the Houston Astros, it would certainly not be a reality today. Now, just completed this year in the right field outfield area are Judge Hoffheinz private quarters. From the 9th level Polyasian bar down through 5 additional levels, you'll find almost a complete city. The presidential suite, plus 4 other suites with facilities for sleeping over 14 people. Beauty parlor, barbershop, children's play area, small movie theater, a boardroom where the National and the American Leagues will hold their meetings tomorrow, and of course, a complete recreation area. This definitely is the Astrodome, and this is baseball tomorrow style, modern baseball, inside in air-conditioned comfort. You know, as one gentleman once said, you have to see it to believe it, and somehow, even then, you don't. And we certainly hope that you fans, wherever you may be, will have an opportunity to get to Houston and see the fabulous 8th wonder of the world. Now from the gondola, 208 feet overhead, you get this unique view of the Astrodome. Right now, back to Kurt Gowdy.
Thank you very much, Gene Elston. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to meet the starting lineup and also the squad members of the American and National League.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Astrodome in the 1968 All Star Game. Introducing the starting lineup for the All-Stars of the American League. The manager of the American League All-Stars from the Boston Red Sox, Dick Williams. The captain of the American League, selected to the American League All-Star team for the 13th year from the New York Yankees, Mickey Mantle. Batting first, shortstop from the California Angels, Jim Dragosi. Batting second, second baseman from the Minnesota Twins, Rod Carew. Batting third, center fielder from the Boston Red Sox, Carl Yastrzemski. Batting fourth, right fielder from the Washington Senators, Frank Howard. Batting fifth, left fielder from the Detroit Tigers, Willie Horton. Batting sixth, first baseman from the Minnesota Twins, Harmon Killebrew. Batting seventh, catcher from the Detroit Tigers, Bill Freehan. Batting eighth, third baseman from the Baltimore Orioles, Brooks Robinson. Batting ninth, the pitcher from the Cleveland Indians, Louis Diaz. Coach Mayo Smith of the Detroit Tigers, Cal Armour of the Minnesota Twins, and the rest of the players from the American League.
Well, there they are, the American League squad. Tigers lead the most representative four. That's the American League team will be trying to snap the 5-game National League winning streak.
Introducing the starting lineup, the All of the National League. The manager of the National Batting second. Batting seventh, pitcher from the New York Mets, Jerry. Shortstop from the Chicago Cubs, Don Kissinger. The starting team, but unable to play due to injury from the Cincinnati Rose. Dave Bristol of the Cincinnati Rose. 68 All Star Game is being brought to you from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas.
Hi, Dodge Fever is really catching with Dodge Fever specials. Specially equipped cars at special prices. Save up to 50% on extras. Here's what you get on Monaco and Polara. And of course, we'd never leave out Coronet. Dart has Dodge Fever specials, too. See a Dodge Fever special at your Dodge dealers. At participating Dodge dealers, you may also win an exciting bonus bandwagon gift. Save at your Dodge dealers now.
As quite a convention at home plate, there are 6 umpires assigned to today's game. There'll be Shag Crawford of the National League behind the plate, Larry Knapp of the American League at first, Mel Steiner of the National League at second, Bill Kinnaman of the American League will be umping at third. The left field line will be handled by Jim Odom of the American League, And umpiring the right field line will be Harry Wendelstedt of the National League. And Dick Williams, the manager, and his captain, Mickey Mantle, represented the American League. Red Shane East is the manager of the National League, and the captain, Willie Mays, out there for the pregame ceremony. This is the first year we've had captains. And, of course, the two veterans, Willie Mays playing in his 19th All-Star game. There's the commissioner of baseball, General Eckert, and Ducky Medwick, just elected to Baseball's Hall of Fame, who is a great minor league player here in Houston before he went up with the Cardinals, had the honor of throwing out the first ball to get this 39th All-Star game underway. Mantle was playing in his 16th game, and they were both highly honored to be selected as captains the first time that the All-Star game has featured captains of the squad. National League will be moving out in just a moment. And we'll be giving you the batting orders again in case you're going to run down and keep score. Here's the American League batting order. Jim Fregosi is the shortstop of the Angels. Rod Carew of the Twins is batting second at second base. Yastrzemski of the Red Sox is hitting third in center field. Howard of the Senators is the cleanup man in right field. Horton of the Tigers is in left field hitting fifth. Killebrew of the Twins is at first base batting sixth. Freehan of the Tigers is catching, batting seventh. Robinson of the Orioles is batting eighth at third, and Louis Tiant is pitching. He'll go only 2 innings. He worked 6 2/3 innings on Sunday. He said his arm is tired, so he's only going to pitch 2 innings. No starter can go over 3 innings, by the way. In the National League lineup, Willie Mays in center field. Flood is batting second in left field of the Cardinals. McCovey of the Giants is hitting third at first base. Aaron of the Braves is the cleanup man in right field. Santo of the Cubs is hitting fifth at third. Helms of the Reds is at second, batting sixth. Brody of the Mets batting seventh, catching. Kessinger of the Cubs is the shortstop, batting eighth. And Drysdale of the Dodgers on the mound with his warm-up pitching. Well, to tell you more about his old teammate, here is Sandy Koufax.
Kurt Don's 10-5 this year and having a fine year. He's got a great ERA of 1.37. And as I said, it's just been a great year for him as he set the all-time consecutive innings scoreless record this year. Don's got a good fastball, a sinking fastball, throws quite a bit of them, and a slider and a curveball. But this year he's had great control.
All right, here we go now. Jim Fregosi of the Angels, the first batter up. The All-Star game's underway with a strike. Fregosi for the year batting .273. 8 home runs, 31 RBIs. He's been hot. He's got a 14-game batting streak. He's hit safely in 16 of his last 18 games just before the All-Star break. The one-strike pitch by Drysdale is a curve high and inside. 1-1. Carew's on deck, and then Yastrzemski. The outfield playing Fregosi straight away. Jim, born in San Francisco, lives now in Anaheim, the home of the Angels, 26 years old. There's a pop off to the right. Going over is Brody, the catcher, and right into the camera enclosure there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's not much room here in foul territory behind the plate and in front of the dugout. So this is a tough park to hit homers in. There have been only 31 home runs hit here in 45 games this year. 340 down each line, 390 to left center, right center, and 406 to straightaway center. The 1-2 delivery to Fregosi. Foul back in the seat. Drysdale has not only been a brilliant pitcher over the years with the Dodgers, but a durable one. Very seldom has had arm trouble. It's out there in his rotation, time after time, year after year. He's the only man on the Dodgers who was with the team in Brooklyn, still with them. Trying to hit that outside corner, missing. 2-2 to Fregosi. Nobody on, nobody out. And the 2-2 delivery. There's a smash hit in the deep left field. That ball is off the wall. Gets away from Flood. Fregosi's in the second and has a stand-up double leading off the game.
But we're going to see two different styles in pitching tonight. Drysdale starting for the National League and Tiant starting for the American League. Drysdale is very smooth, as you notice, and Tiant, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, is quite herky-jerky. Throws from all different positions. Drysdale is very smooth.
All right, Rod Carew of the Minnesota Twins up, batting .286, 1 homer, 14 RBIs. Bergosi on second, nobody out. Time called. I think Carew asked for time, and Crawford yelled it behind the plate. Carew was the only rookie to start in the game last year, so he started now 2 years in a row in his first 2 years in the big league. They're playing him as a full hitter to right. And he's opened up there with his stance. First pitch to him, ball 1. Drysdale, you notice the side armor has always been wicked against right-handers. How about left-handers, left-handed batters against him, Sandy?
Kurt Gunn used to have quite a bit of trouble with the left-handers, but a few years ago he came up with a slider and tries to pitch it up and in on the left-handers a lot. And he's been fairly successful with the left-handers with that pitch and the fastball out away from him. But before he had the slider, they gave him a lot of trouble.
All right, now Drysdale's off to a shaky start. First man up double. He's behind Carew, 2-0. Bouncing ball to the right side. McCovey handles it easily. And advancing to third is Bergosi. So the American League is a runner on third, 1 out. Carew bouncing out to McCovey, and here's Carl Yastrzemski, who was the player of the year last year. Not quite having the season this year that he had last year, but he's still having a good one. He's hitting .301, 13 homers, 33 runs batted in. And the outfield has just been waved deep and over to right. Carl had been in a bad slump. He'd gone 21 games without a home run, but in Sunday's doubleheader against the Twins, he hit a home run in each game at Fenway Park. Big shot. He takes about as hard a set as anyone in the majors. And thanks to the Houston Astros for their nice message. That's a $2 million scoreboard, by the way, you're going to be watching tonight. Bergosi at third. 1 out. 1 strike to Carl Yastrzemski. Drysdale, something extra on that one. That shoulder high fastball, and he's got Yastrzemski in a hole, 2 strikes. Right now, Carl's the runner-up man in the American League batting race to his teammate, Ken Harrelson. That's the shot from the gondola overhead here in the dome. We have 9 cameras going for you tonight. 2 slow motion machines. We hope you enjoy it. A 2-strike pitch. A ball, 1-2 to Carl Yastrzemski.
Kurt, that pitch right there was the slider in on him that Don has been so successful with against the left-handers. And he set him up with the change and threw him the high fastball. I think he wanted that as his out pitch there.
Carl, a Long Island boy, lives now in Linfield, Massachusetts. Started his college career at Notre Dame and graduated from Merrimack College in the Merrimack Valley. A 1-2 pitch to him. Fouls the outside pitch out of play. Bergosi at third, 1 out. And Big Frank Howard's on deck. With a runner on third, 1 down, the American League threatening here. There's Howard. Drysdale has allowed no earned runs in his last 5 All-Star games. That's our center field camera looking in now. One ball, 2 strikes to count to Yastrzemski. Ooh, that breaking pitch just missing. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You saw the starting lineup introduced. Yastrzemski is 6 feet tall, weighs 185. He looked like a midget against Frank Howard when he came out and stood alongside him. 2-2. Well, asking for time. Will be switched to left field in the fourth inning. All right, Drysdale's 2-2 pitch. Yastrzemski just got a piece of the fastball in the sight on him. Yastrzemski last year was the only player in the All-Star game to have 3 hits in that 2-1 15-inning game in Anaheim that the National League won. Actually, he was on base 5 times. He had a couple of walks. Bergosi at third, 1 out. The 2-2 pitch to Yastrzemski. He pops it up down the foul line. Backpedaling. Sano grabs it. That runner still on third. Yastrzemski fouls out for third baseman Sano. Now it's 2 down for the American League. And Frank Howard, 6'7", 278 pounds. That bat looks like a toothpick in his hand. This is his first All-Star game. And, of course, he went on the famous flurry in May. He hit 10 homers in 6 games. And the crowd looks at the size and oohs and ahs at him. A gigantic man. He's leading the majors in homers right now at 25. A line shot to shortstop Kissinger, and Drysdale gets out of the zone. So in the top of the first, no runs for the American League, 1 hit. There were no errors and 1 man left. Middle of the first inning, the American League nothing, the National League coming to bat.
Oh, some defense, Healy. They're killing it.
Arlie Healy! Where is our right guard?
Here in the locker room. You left your family defenseless? Yeah. You could get 15 yards for that, Healy. Personal foul.
Gillette Right Guard, the perfect personal family deodorant because nothing touches you but the spray itself. So share the Right Guard or make sure there's an extra can around the house. Don't leave your family defenseless. Gillette Foamy Shaving Cream. So creamy rich. So creamy thick. So creamy moist. So creamy smooth. In fact, in every 11-ounce can of Foamy, there are 5 pints of cream. Can your shaving cream measure up to Gillette Foamy?
Cleveland's brilliant right-hander Louis Tiant starts for the American League. Here's Sandy to tell you about it.
Kurt Tiant's having a great year. He's 14-5 and an ERA of 1.24. He throws just about everything and from just about everywhere. He throws over the top, throws sidearm, he throws 3/4. He's got a good fastball. His curveball and slider, he calls them 2 different pitches, but his catchers keep saying they're pretty much the same. He'll throw a hesitation pitch, and he'll throw a slow curve every now and then, and he's liable to throw it from any angle.
Now, fans study his delivery, especially the way he jerks his head around. He's really a herky-jerky pitcher, and his motion gives the batters a lot of trouble. This is his first All-Star game, and many of the National Leaguers have never seen him before. Willie Mays leading off. This is the 6th All-Star game that he's been a leadoff batter. There's the curve by Tiant. Oh, he'll give you straight overhand, 3/4, sidearm, change speeds, and throws that head and those legs and arms all over the lot. Mays hits a bounding ball by Brooks Robinson in the left field. Willie Horton is up with it, and Willie Mays leads off for the National League with a single. So each leadoff batter been on base, and now Kurt Flood's up. Flood batting .316 has been above the 300 mark all year for the Cardinals. 5 homers, 37 runs batted in. This is Kurt's hometown where he was born, Houston. He lives now in St. Louis. 30 years old. Mays on first. Nobody out, no score, last to the first. Tiant making his move. Willie Mays back, ball gets away. There goes Mays to second. And he's in there. run the bases as much as he used to. He's older now, 36, but he can go when he wants to, and dangerous runner like him shows what can happen.
He'll make you throw him out on the bases, Kurt. He came up after the slide and turned and faked like he was going to go to third. He's trying to get Harmon to throw the ball.
Mays on second. Nobody out. Ball one to Kurt Flood.
Well, Kurt, we have the same situation right now with Flood up there, the runner on second with no one out. And this fellow can handle the bat. He'll try to go to right field and advance Willie Mays to third, the same as the American League did.
Curve is outside. 2-0. Louis Piant was born in Havana, Cuba. He lives now in Mexico City. His father was an outstanding left-hander in Cuba for many years. And Piant suddenly blossomed this year into a great pitcher. The 2-0 pitch to Kurt Flood is strike one, 2-1. Killebrew was charged with an error. The official score charged Killebrew with an error on the throw to first base by Piant, which allowed Mays to go to second. Two balls and a strike. Willie McCovey's the on-deck batter. Piant working very deliberately. Three and one now. He's behind Flood. Rysdale had given up a double, got behind Carew 2-0. Piant's given up a single, an error. Now he's behind Flood 3-1. Piant early in the year hits 4 shutouts in a row. He just set a major league strikeout record, striking out 32 in 2 consecutive games. 3-1 pitch. Foul back. 3-2 to Kurt Flood.
Kurt, I think Piant may be showing that he's a little tired. He's thrown a few breaking balls, and most of them have been inside to the right-hand hitters, which is usually a sure sign that the pitcher might be a little tired. He doesn't have the strength in his arm to get the ball out of the way.
He's working now, 3-2 to Kurt Flood. Willie Mays at second, nobody out. Last of the first inning, no score. That's over the head of the catcher. There goes Mays to third. Flood to first. Looked like he tried to put something extra on that fastball, a strikeout pitch, and got away from it.
Sure, I think it got away a little bit, but I think they got crossed up in their signs because Freehand never even went up after it. He looked like he was looking for something down low. The ball just went right over his head.
Wild pitch charged against Piant. Flood on with the base on balls, and Willie McCovey. He's batting .293 this year for the Giants, leads the National League in homers with 20, and the National League in runs batted in with 53. Strong left-handed pull hitter. They play him deep and toward right. Runners on first and third, nobody out. Bounding ball to Carew. They go for one, back to first, double play, and in the score is Willie Mays. No run batted in for McCovey. Carew to Fregosi to Killebrew. The National League takes the lead, 1-0. And here's Hank Aaron now, with 2 down, nobody on. Aaron didn't think here's a double play back again. Fairly close at first. Aaron didn't think he'd be voted on the team. He was hitting only .236 when the ballots came in. Ball 1 to him. But he's been hot He had 7 hits in his last 8 times at bat just before this All-Star break. Get his average up to 247. Don't worry about him. He'll be up there before the season's over. He has the highest lifetime average of any active player. Lifetime batting average of 316. Two balls, no strikes. Let up pitch, ball 3. Tian is not sharp tonight, the way we've seen him before. He's behind and doesn't have his sharp control. 3 balls and no strikes. Aaron goes for it and fouls it off. He was looking for that fat one. 3-1 to Hank Aaron.
Heard I talked to Henry Aaron before the game about his hitting and asked him, is there any reason for him hitting 240 right now? He said, Peavy, the only thing that I can think about, Joe Torre, hitting in back of me, which we've talked about so often, was out of the lineup, and they were just pitching around me. I started swinging at bad pitches, got me in a slump, but I think I'm all right now.
And Tian throws 3-1. Ball 4. That's the second walk that Tian's given up here in the first inning. Puts Aaron on first, 2 down, and brings up Sano. This game is authorized under television rights granted by the Commission of Baseball solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the commissioner is prohibited. Ron Sano, a slugging first baseman of the Chicago Cubs, is up. He's also batting 247, has 13 homers, 47 runs batted in. Aaron, a good base runner at first. Tian keeps him close. Aaron is one of those fellows that is not flashy. Makes everything look easy. He's deceptive in his outfielding, his base running. He has good judgment on the bases. He's stolen 13 bases this year. Aaron on first, 2 down. The National League ahead 1-0. Breaking pitch in. 0-1 to Ron Santo. Ron was born in Seattle, Washington. Lives now in Park Ridge, Illinois. 28 years old. There goes Aaron. Ground ball is short. Bergosi over to first, and that's it for the National League. Sano grounding out short to first. The National League got 1 run. There was 1 hit, 1 American League error, and 1 man left. At the end of the first inning, it's the National League 1 and the American League 0.
Introducing your Plymouth dealers' Win You Over specials. Specially equipped Plymouth cars at specially reduced prices. These are the extras most people choose. And one of the most popular Plymouth cars is this Plymouth Fury. Put these extras on this Fury, and it becomes one of the Plymouth Win You Over specials. If you buy one now, the price on these extras is reduced up to 50%. Come and see the savings on these exciting Win You Over specials. Specially equipped Plymouth cars at specially reduced prices. At your Plymouth dealers now.
And the beat goes on.
And the beat goes on.
And the beat goes on.
Yeah, the beat goes on. The Plymouth, the Win You Over, the beat goes on.
There's a picture of the gondola right in the center of the dome here, and now it's looking down. This is a shot you see, and this is the only ballpark in the world you can see this kind of a television shot. And we'll be showing it to you from time to time. Willie Horton of the American League leaders, the Detroit Tigers, leading off here for the American League in the second. Willie batting 285, enjoying a great year, 21 homers, 47 runs batted in. It's a fly ball to Hank Aaron and right. 1 away. This is quite an outfield defensively the National League has. All of them are Golden Glovers. Kurt Flood, 5 years in a row, has won the Golden Glove defensively. Willie Mays, 10 years in a row, and Hank Aaron's won it 3 times. And Flood very graciously gave way to Mays in center field and volunteered to move to left. But you won't see a better defensive outfield than the National League has right now. And a high fly ball in the shallow right by Killebrew. A pop backing up is Tommy Helms of the Reds to take it, and they're 2 down quickly here in the top of the second. Killebrew of the Twins, who is hitting .204, has been in a bad slump here in recent weeks. Bill Freehan, catcher of the Tigers, coming up, batting .270. 14 homers, 45 RBI. National League leading 1-0, top of the second. The American League is 2 down, nobody on. Breaking pitch at the knees for a strike. Freehan, a former football star at the University of Michigan. Mayo Smith, coaching at first of the Tigers. Cal Irmer of the Twins at third. Dick Williams, the manager of the Red Sox. And after that breaking delivery, it's strike 2. Two strikes to Bill Freehan. Just missed with that one, ball 1. Don Drysdale, who pitched 6 shutouts in a row this year to break the Major League record, and then 58 2/3 innings to break Walter Johnson's record of consecutive scoreless innings. A 1-2 pitch. Inside to Freehan, ball 2, 2-2. As Sandy told you, Drysdale is working with his normal rest. His last game was last Friday night against Cincinnati. 3-2 to Bill Freehan. Drysdale ties the record tonight, shared by Gomez and Robin Roberts, his 5th All-Star start. 2 down, nobody on. The 3-2 pitch to Bill Freehan. Ground ball down the third baseline. It's a fair ball. Sano, with a strong arm, throws him out. Sano can really fire that ball afar. So it's 3 up, 3 down for the American League in the top of the second. At the end of an inning and a half, the National League 1 and the American League 0.
Ever find yourself dragged to a party when you had a headache and didn't want to go?
We're going to have a good time tonight.
Hi, kids. What took you so long? Oh, well, don't just stand there. Come on in. Hey, everybody, look who's here.
Look for sympathy and you find no one really cares about your headache.
That's too bad. Did you take something for it? Mabel, the sandwich is ready yet?
You got to try this cake.
Honey, come here. I want you to meet somebody.
So you start feeling sorry for yourself. And when you just can't take it any longer, maybe then you remember Anison. Minutes later, the pain is gone.
Everything all right, honey?
And suddenly it feels like a different party.
What are you doing anyway?
So next time, don't look for sympathy. Look for Anison.
Tonight's 1968 All-Star Game being brought to you live and in color exclusively on NBC, where America watches more sports than on any other network. Our split screen shows you a difference in National League and American League attire. Larry Knapp's on your right with the gray flannels and the blue jacket. He's the American League umpire. Behind the plate, Jag Crawford, all in blue. And Tommy Helms of the Cincinnati Reds leads off for the National League in the last of the second. Tommy's hitting .302 with 1 homer, 28 runs batted in. Sharp line drive type of hitter. Louis Tion's pitch is foul back. Warming up for the American League now is John Blue Moon Odom of the Oakland Athletics. Tion's going to work just 2 innings. And there's Odom in the American League bullpen. Foul back again. They're going to make some switches as soon as they can. The starters must go 3 innings. The starters are selected by the players. But the American League does not have a good defensive outfield. Willie Horton in left, Frank Howard and right are not noticed for their outfielding. Yastrzemski's playing out of position, although he has played center field before, but he's normally a left fielder. There's a line shot to right. Howard up with the ball. Helms is going for two. The throw, and Helms is in with a double. Heard I got a big kick out of Tommy Helms before the game. He was kidding Dave Bristley's manager on the Cincinnati Reds ball club. He said, Dave, you must be a lousy manager. Did I play for you? I bat seventh. I play on an all-star team. I bat sixth. I can't understand it. Here's Gary Grody up. Of the New York Mets, who's hitting 87 points higher this year than his lifetime average. Batting .291. Play him straight away. Ball one to him. He is the second Met player to ever start an all-star game. Ron Hunt was the starting second baseman back in 1964. 1 ball and a strike. Tommy Helms at second, nobody out. 2-0, and Tiant is behind the hitters tonight. National League leading 1-0. The 2-0 pitch. Curve is over, that overhand curve it is. He can come straight over the top against you. 2-1. And Jerry Grody's back home in Texas. Born and still lives in San Antonio. Tommy Helms with his back to you, getting his lead at second. Nobody out. The 2-1 pitch to Jerry Grody. That fastball had him fooled. The count's 2-2. National League has had 4 base runners so far with 2 hits and 2 walks. Two pitch. Struck him out on a curve. First strikeout for Tiant. 1 out. Helms at second. And let's study Tiant here in slow motion. Sometimes he'll flop that head around. Notice how he turns his back.
Kurt, he'll look back there, but you'll notice in here that he picks up the plate before he throws the ball. In fact, quite a bit before he throws the ball. So he's got a good idea of where he wants the ball to be, and he looks at it. I think that's just his attempt at a deceptive motion.
Don Kessinger of the Cubs is the batter. Runner on second, 1 out. Fouls it back, strike 1 to him. Kessinger hitting .252. He has no homers, 18 RBIs. Kessinger, the switch hitter. The National League now starting to warm up Juan Marichal. Helms at second, 1 out. Ball 1, the fastball. 1-1 to Don Kessinger. Marichal pitched Saturday at San Francisco against Bob Gibson. And that's not a bad back-to-back combination of Drysdale and bringing Marichal in. Maybe Gibson behind him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ball 2. Tiant's a little disturbed in himself. He's struggling right now. 2-1. He had quite a game on July 3rd when he struck out 19 batters in 10 innings. and struck out the side in the 10th. Pitching 2-1 to Kessinger. Fouls it away, and the count's 2-2 now. That's Herman Franks, the manager of the Giants, coaching his first for the National League. And Dave Bristol, the young manager of the Reds, is coaching at third. The Reds changing the manager. The pennant-winning managers are automatically the managers of the All-Star Game the next year. 2-2 to Kessinger. Got him on a fastball. 2 strikeouts in a row for Tion. And Drysdale now coming up for the National League. A pitcher who can swing the bat.
Kurt, yes, he can. Don actually hit 300 one year as a pitcher and as a pinch hitter. I was kidding him before the game, telling him, well, why'd you come out of the ball game the other night for a pinch hitter? I said, you pinch hit for me in the World Series. You can hit for yourself.
Well, he has 28 lifetime home runs. Helms at second, 2 down. Last of the second, the National League's ahead 1-0. A ball to Drysdale. The top of the order's on deck, Willie Mays. Don is one of baseball's more handsome players. The 1-0 pitch. There's a line drive out to Willie Horton in left field. That's it. The National League is out in the last of the second. They had no runs, 1 hit. There were no errors and 1 left. At the end of 2, the National League leads 1-0.
He's about to fall head over heels for Dodge Fever. See? Everybody's coming down with it.
And there's only one way to get over it. 68 Dodge Charger. Greatest show on the road. From hideaway headlights to 318 cubes of hustlin' V8. Inside, deep cushion buckets, map pockets, glare-resistant sports panel, and optional air conditioning from Chrysler Air Temp. Keeps you cool and comfortable inside. Keeps noise, dust, and heat outside. Chrysler Air Temp. Order it on Dodge Charger for $1968.
Dodge Fever. It's a beautiful way to go.
We're going now to the 3rd inning. This is Kurt Gowdy with Pee Wee Reese and Sandy Koufax. Here are some of the other players in the American League squad. Johnson and Powell, the Orioles, Harrelson, and Santiago was selected, but Gary Bell was replaced in. Santiago was injured. Tommy John, Dwayne Josephson of the White Sox. Brooks Robinson of the Baltimore Orioles. Brooks batting .243 with 10 homers, 37 RBIs. Drysdale's pitch, bounding ball up the middle. Kessinger over by the bag to throw him out. 1 down. Askew, McDowell, Tiana of the Indians, Campaneris, Mundy, and Odom of the A's. We're going to have a pinch hitter right now, Ken Harrelson, who has probably been the batting story of the major leagues this year. This is his first All-Star game. He was given an outright release by the Athletics last year, joined the Red Sox, got a chance for a second bonus contract, and leads the American League in batting with .305 average. He's hit 17 homers and has 60 runs batted in. The Hawk. He has 40 suits, 67 sport jackets, 80 pair of shoes, He is the mod dresser of the major leagues, and every one of his jackets and suits or shirts has the hawk stitched in. One out for the American League. Top of the third. The National League's ahead 1-0. Drysdale's pitch is over to him, 1-1. Drysdale, by the way, has just broken a record. He has now worked 18 2/3 innings, the most innings ever pitched by anybody in an all-star competition. This will be his last inning tonight. 1-1 pitch. Foul away. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ken Harrelson. Harrelson's a refreshing fella. Got a lot of personality. Colorful. He doesn't mind telling you he's a great athlete. One and two. There's a high fly down the left field line. Kurt Flood squeezed over there in the corner. 2 down. We pause briefly for station identification. Now to the top of the order, and Jim Fregosi, who led off this game with a double off the left field wall. And since that double, Drysdale has retired 8 in a row. National League's ahead 1-0, top of the third. Fastball, good to him for a strike. 0-1 to Fregosi. It's a pop down the right field line. That's headed toward the National League bullpen. Willie McCovey going for it. Out of play. No balls, 2 strikes. Well, this has been the year of the pitcher in baseball. Unbelievable pitching records have been set. Drysdale has broken 2 major league records. Gibson has had 5 shutouts in a row. That was finally broken. But he's allowed only 1 run in his last 65 innings. Tiant. McLean comes to the All-Star break with 16 victories. A little tapper right back to Drysdale. Another easy inning for Don Drysdale. And in the third, 3 up, 3 down at the end of 2.5. It's the National League 1 and the American League nothing. Louis Tiant worked 2 innings, allowed 2 hits, 1 run, walked 2, struck out 2, and the new pitcher is the youngest man on the American League All-Star staff, John Blue Moon Odom. He's just turned 23 in May of the Oakland Athletic. He's won 7 and lost 5 this year. Earned run average of 2.38. He got that nickname Blue Moon when he was a youngster because they gave it to him in school. They said he had a moon face. Willie Mays singled his first time up. Every time he gets a hit, he extends his own record for most hits in All-Star Game competition. Ball 1. Well, how's it look so far, Pee-wee?
Well, I know one thing, that Drysdale certainly looks sharp. It looks like he's going to have a little rough time at the start, but he settled down there after the first inning.
1-0. Big cut. 1-1. Some of the players on the National League squad are Lou and Reed of the Braves. Johnny Bench Perez of the Reds will be in here. Rusty Staub of the Houston Astros. Both managers want to play as many men as they can, but they still want to win. 1-1 pitch. Bouncing ball to shortstop. Fregosi to Killebrew, and there's 1 out. Kurt Flood is coming up. He walks. McCovey will be on deck. And, of course, Haller, aside from Drysdale, the Dodgers, Kuzman and Seaver of the Mets, Woody Fryman of the Phillies. Juan Marichal is warming up. He'll come in to pitch in the 4th inning for the National League. One ball, no strikes to Kurt Flood, who's quite an oil painter. He is such a good painter now, he's selling his portrait. There's a ground ball to short again. A longer throw by Fregosi. Right there, the big split by Killebrew. Is he all right? Killebrew with that split at first. And looks like he's injured himself. There it is in slow motion. Study it, Pee-wee.
Well, Kurt, what I think happened, watch this throw by Fregosi. It was low, and watch this stretch by Harmon Killebrew. Watch this right here. He does a split. Look. What he could have done, he could have pulled a muscle, a groin muscle. Here comes Boog Powell out of the dugout to go out and check on the first baseman. Now you can see, and Harmon Killebrew is not exactly a gazelle, and he's not used to doing something like this, and I'm sure he could have pulled a muscle.
The American League trainer, Buddy LaRue of the Red Sox, out attending him. John Powell of the Orioles is going to come in and play first base to replace Killebrew. There's Powell, number 26, getting his arm warmed up. And they're going to take Killebrew off the field in a stretcher. And he gets a hand from the 52,000 here in the Astrodome. We'll have the report on him just as soon as they examine him in the clubhouse. So Powell goes to first base, replacing Killebrew. The National League has 2 down in the last of the 3rd. They're leading 1-0, and the batter will be Willie McCovey, who hit into a double play his first time. John Odom pitching to Willie McCovey. Odom throwing a curve and missing ball 1. 300 radio stations, including 51 ships, are on the Armed Forces radio. There are 21 countries around the world. On TV, we'll be showing replay of this game in about 2 weeks to our troops overseas. Fastball for a strike. The game is being seen throughout Canada and Mexico. Buck Cannell for the 32nd All Star Game, and Spanish is broadcasting this throughout the South American countries. A 1-1 pitch. That was a beautiful changeup by Blue Moon. One ball, 2 strikes to McCovey, 2 down, nobody on. A couple of years ago, he couldn't throw that changeup. He's learned how to pitch. Ball 2. He was just a fastball pitcher when he first came up. Thrower. 2-2. Away, nobody on. Just missed with a curve. It's 3-2 now. down, nobody on. The 3-2 pitch. Struck him out on a fastball, and Odom sets the side down in order in the last of the third. So at the end of 3 innings of play, it's the National League 1 and the American League nothing.
Last year, more people were won over to Plymouth than ever before. It started a movement, a momentum, a beat, and the beat goes on.
Plymouth, when you over, beat goes on.
68 GTX, one of the new mid-size 5, 440 cubic inch V8, twin hood scoops, heavy-duty brakes, special suspension, red streak tires, 4-speed stick or 3-speed automatic, all standard.
Plymouth, when you over, beat goes on. Yes, the beat goes
The 68 Barracuda. Just for kicks, it has 4 new engines. And the beat goes on.
on and on and on. On and on.
First All-Star game back in 1933 was a dream game, and it still is. 14 of those players in that first All-Star game went on to become members of the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Fox, Lefty Grove, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Bill Dickey, Al Simmons, Charlie Gehringer, and Joe Cronin. The National League, Frankie Fish, Bill Terry, Ty Traynor, Paul Wainer, Carl Hubble, and Gabby Hart. The coaches were Eddie Collins, Bill McKechnie, and Max Carey. I wonder how many tonight, later on, will be voted in the Hall of Fame, as we had from that original All-Star game. Juan Marichal is now pitching of the Giants, a 15-game winner so far this year, his 7th All-Star game appearance. And he's facing the Twins' Rod Carew, who bounced to first his first time up. Strike one to him. The American League's had only one base runner, Ferdosi, who doubled in the first. Marichal will throw all speeds, overhand you, sidearm you, and has probably as fine as control as any pitcher in baseball. Strike two. I think he'd walked only 23 men all year and nearly 200 innings of pitching.
Kurt, and occasionally he'll do the same thing that Tiant does. He'll look back into center field and not look at you. He does a lot of the same things, I think not quite as herky-jerky as Tiant, though.
He gives you that big leg kick that we'll show you. There's a bounding ball. A second. Kessinger over there and comes up with another good play. He had to really get something on that one, and he had to wait for the second hop. So Carew bounces out. Kessinger to McCovey. 1 out. Carl Yastrzemski popped up his first time. Frank Howard's going to be on deck. National League ahead, 1-0. There's ball one. Watch Marichal, if we get a shot looking at him, the way he kicks that leg up in the air, almost puts his foot in front of his face. Yastrzemski hits a hot ground ball. Helms up with it to McCovey. And the National League playing brilliant in the infield. Helms took a base hit away from Yastrzemski.
That was a very fine play by Tommy Helms, Kurt. It was also a good play by Willie McCovey. Willie McCovey went over for that ball and then had to come back to bag and turn completely around, and Helms made a perfect throw. Watch this play by Tommy. The ball hops up for him. He's looking right at it, as you can see. The throw, he has to wheel, turn around to his left. Here's the throw.
Now we're back to live action, and Frank Howard up, line to short his first time. 2 down, nobody on, top of the 4th. The National League ahead, 1-0. 1-1. The American League had Rick Mundy and Tony Oliva warming up down the sidelines, and they'll come in and go to the defensive outfield in the last of the 4th. 11 in a row now have gone down for the American League. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Howard. Fastball inside, 2-1 to him. The 2-1 pitch. Fouls it back, 2-2.
Kurt, as Sandy knows, and everyone knows, has been around this big fellow, Frank Howard. Before the game, I was talking to him, and he said, Pee-wee, what's happened to the All Star Game when they select me?
Only 5 homers in a half year.
That's what's happened to
A
him.
little modest, isn't he? 2-2 to count. Fouls it off. You know, he's so big. Dick Williams said, I don't know whether we can beat these fellas tonight, but I like to fight them. With Boog Powell and Howard and Willie Horton and Bill Freehand. Somebody asked Dick Williams when the American League was going to leave in the bus yesterday. He says, ask Mr. Howard. The 2-2 pitch. Sidearms him and strikes him out. Well, that's it for the American League in the top of the fourth. At the end of 3.5 innings, it is still the National League 1 and the American League nothing.
Going where the mosquitoes are this summer? They're waiting to see you. So is the pollen, the dust, the furry beings. They can be a bunch of troublemakers if you're allergic to one of them, and they just might start something, like tears in your eyes, itchy, swelling, plaguey sneezes, and a painful, stuffy feeling in your sinuses. It could ruin your summer. Get help. Get Dristan. Dristan is on your side. Dristan puts an antihistamine into your system, a decongestant, and a pain reliever. If you're allergic to one of the troublemakers, take Dristan with you wherever you go. And summer can be everything it should be.
Next Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time is the Dodgers against the Braves on NBC's Major League Baseball. And the fans in Los Angeles and Atlanta will see the game between the Phillies and the Pirates. Don't forget the Sandy Koufax show just before the game. Every Saturday, our Major League Game of the Week on NBC. We have a new right fielder, Tony Oliva, now, has replaced Frank Howard. Willie Horton stays in left. He's going to lead off the 5th inning. They'll let him bat. And here's Hank Aaron for the National League in the last of the 4th. Aaron, Santo, and Helms this inning, facing John Odom. Odom's outside for ball 1.
Kurt, speaking about next week's game, we might have a chance to see Hank Aaron hit his 500th home run in that. He's got 499 now.
And he has another goal, Sandy. He wants to wind up with 3,000 hits, and it's almost a certainty he will in his career. Around, I think, 2,700, something like that. 2-0. Aaron's what they call a wrist hitter. Snaps that bat around with powerful wrists. Pops it toward the seats and back to third. Brooks Robinson watches it sail into the stands. 2 balls and 1 strike. There are 40-some thousand theater seats in the Astrodome. I think the statistic that really tells the story of this fantastic place is the light bill. $400,000 a year for the lights, air conditioning and light, utilities. The 2-1 pitch. Odom gets the curve over to Aaron. 2-2. Nobody on, nobody out. Last of the 4th. Fouls it back. They never turn the air conditioning off here. Now the delivery. Went for a bad pitch. Ran tagged him. Strike out for the pitcher, put out for the catcher. Oh, Hank Aaron went fishing. One out, and Ron Santo coming up, bounced to short. In the first inning. Well, the infield play so far has been the standout. Strike one. One out, nobody on. The National League ahead, 1-0. Oda missing, 1-1. Denny McClain, the 16-game winner of the Tigers, is warming up now in the American League bullpen. There he is, McClain, number 17. Ball 2-1 to Ron Santo. One out, bases empty. Three and one to him. And the 3-1 pitch. Foul off, 3-2. One down, nobody on. Ball 4, that's the third walk the National League has had tonight. First base runner against Odom since he came in the third. And Tommy Helms of the Reds is up. He doubled to right. His first trip. National League ahead, 1-0. All one. Foul holding against Sano at first. They report on Killebrew, who injured himself with that stretch at first base, where he had a pulled muscle in the back of his leg. Foul back. 1-1. We've never had too many injuries in All-Star Game competition. Two of the most serious, Ted Williams shattered his elbow against the wall at Comiskey Park, 1950. Ted claimed that he was never the same hitter after that. He had to operate on his elbow. And Dizzy Dean got a broken toe off the bat of Earl Averill, and after that came up with arm trouble that ended a brilliant career. 2-1. Ron Santo at first, one out. Last to the fourth. Three and one. Now Freehan wants to go out and talk to Odom. We have two more night games left this season for you on NBC. Monday, July 22nd, and the night of September 2nd, besides our Saturday game. And, of course, the World Series in October will be on NBC.
They count 3-1 on Helms. He can handle a bat. He's tough to strike out. Ron Santo on at first. Look out, they may send him.
Santo getting his lead. There he goes. Ball 4. So now the National League has runners on first and second, one out. And the Mets' Jerry Grody is coming up. He struck out his first time. National League ahead 1-0. Counting ball to Fregosi. They have one. Carew upset at second. They can't get the man at first. He was taken out of there by Tommy Helms, a very aggressive player. Well, it's a force out from Fregosi to Carew at second base. Ron Sano's at third. Gary Grody's at first. And the shortstop of the National League, Don Kessinger, up. He struck out his first time. Helms threw a pretty good football block in the Carew. Really took him out of there. Play Kessinger to the opposite field. It's the ground ball to Fregosi. The easy flip for the force out, and John Odom works out of the jam in the last of the fourth. No runs for the National League, no hits, there were no errors, and 2 left. At the end of 4, the score is the National League 1 and the American League nothing.
Too serious. It's a pulled groin muscle. 1 strike on him. And that screwball. And he takes a little off that screwball, like a changeup.
Yes, he does, Pee-wee. I think the whole Giant organization throws their changeup and turns it over a little bit. I'm not sure that one of their scouts didn't have something to do with that, Carl Hubbell.
Could have had. 2 strikes on Boog Powell. Did he go around? Yes, sir. Shag Crawford. Behind home plate said he did. He started to hold up, but it may have been a strike anyway. So Marshall gives him another screwball just on that outside corner. Let's take a good look at Juan Marshall in slow motion. Sandy?
Here you watch Marshall, even with the big kick and a lot of other things he does, he'll pick up that plate and stay riveted on it over his shoulder. He's got, just great control and great stuff. And here comes the screwball. I think, well, we didn't see it.
Go ahead.
Well, I thought we might be able to see it, but the next pitch was there.
Say one thing, looked to me like he almost went down to his back. 1 ball, no strikes on Bill Freehand. It's 2 away in the top half of the 5th inning. Strike just got that outside corner, and Marshall looks sharp tonight. The American League has failed to score. They have 1 hit. The National League scored 1 run in the first inning. They lead in this ball game by a score of 1-0. 1 ball, 1 strike on Freehand, the great catcher for the Detroit Tigers. Inside, ball 2. Men in a row have been retired by Drysdale and Marshall. Her ball just got the outside corner, 2-2. The American League had 1 hit, and the first hitter in the game against Drysdale. Fregosi doubled down the left field line, but he did not score. The 2-2 pitch to Bill Freehand. He struck him out. That's all for Bill Freehand. And that's all here in the top half of the 5th inning for the American League. No runs, no hits, no errors, and no 1 left on. After 4.5 innings of play, it's still the National League 1 and the American League nothing. Bottom half of the 5th inning. Marshall, supposed to be the first hitter. Where we're going to have a pinch hitter. It'll be Tom Halleck of the Dodgers, batting a cool 300. The new pitcher for the American League All-Stars will be Denny McLain. We also have a new catcher, Askew, from the Cleveland Indians. We have a new center fielder, Rick Mundy. Yastrzemski has moved from center to left. Tony Oliva in right field. Tom Halleck. The first pitch, a good fastball, but Denny McLain a little too high. Ball 1 on it. There's a ball hit high out into right field. The second baseman, Carew, goes back. In comes Oliva underneath it and takes it, or out number 1. You have the best hitters in the American League, the best hitters in the National League, but you also have the best pitchers in the National American League. And I've said so many times, it seems like good pitching always stops good hitting. And that's what's happened tonight. Willie Mays
has scored the only run in this ball game. He's 1 for 2. McLean throws a sidearm pitch. Gets 2, ball 1 on him.
Pee-wee last year, 15 innings, only 3 runs, 2-1. There are a lot of strikeouts, and they all blamed it on the twilight. We've got big lighting here tonight. 8 o'clock game, no problems, and same old story. Good pitching stopping them.
A fastball in there for call strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. The last 2 All-Star games have been the same score, 2-1 extra innings. National League, they have won 5 straight, and that's a record. A high hopper to Brooks Robinson at third. Over to Boog Powell, and that's 2 up and 2 down here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Ball player right there, Brooks Robinson. That brings up Curt Flood.
Sailing 24 hours. Chicago Black repeated tour of his homeland as part of this NFB Presents production in color. All-Star Baseball returns following station identification. This is the CBC television.
Going in the top half of the 6th inning. There's the ground crew here. They're dressed as spacemen, and they're the quickest ground crew. They really fly around or get in and get out. We have a few changes. Steve Carl's the new pitcher for the National League of the St. Louis Cardinals. Brooks Robinson on the first pitch. It's a high out to left to Matty Lou, who just came in. Let's take a look at the changes. The new pitcher, Steve of the Cardinals. The new catcher, Tom Howler of the Dodgers. The new left fielder, Matty Lou of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Rick Monday. When he came into this game, they put him batting in the 9th position, so that would make the pitcher Danny McLean batting in the 5th spot. Oakland Athletics.
Dewey, this is a player in the American League squad. Rick Monday's 20.
Let's see about Dale and Mars. The first pitch to Henry Aaron is inside, ball 1. Campaneris. Fastball outside corner, makes a count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Campaneris, the Oakland Athletics. Don Wirth, Detroit Tigers. Line drive, base hit out of the field. You send 1 knee up at the ball. Henry Aaron makes the big jump. And that's the 3rd hit the National Leaguers have here. Everyone sharp. In the 1st inning to the 4th inning. He's 0 for 1. Checks his swing, it's too high. Followed by Tommy Helms, who's tonight had a walk, made 2 fine plays in the field. There goes Aaron. Askew's throw it to. Looked to me like a little mixed up.
thought Carew was going to take. Carew gave off the opener. There was just a split second late then to put the tag.
Watch Carew come over. They both kind of hesitate. Backs off. No one there. They may have had a chance for him.
I think they may have had him, Pee Wee. They're both behind the bag, looking at the other one to cover so they could back up.
Look out. Good save. Way outside. Well, Pee Wee Aaron's very deceptive. Billy looks like he isn't going too all in the bases. He looks like he's just sort of going half speed, but he gets there all the time, running, fielding. One of the most deceptive players. Watch.
But you're right, Kurt. He can. Right straight back. On Santo. Mentioned. Start of the game. He has 13 stolen bases. No one away. And at second. Carew made a bluff at him the last time there. There's our shot from the gondola. Fastball. Outside, 3-2. Henry Aaron at second base. I don't think I'd want to be operating that camera up in that gondola. Outside, ball 4. Santo gets the 6th walk given up by the American League pitchers. Let's see. Keon walked 2. Odom walked 2. Now the McLean has walked 2. Well, here's a little fellow up there right now that's quite a night. Runners on first and second, no one out. They're not expecting the bunt. He goes right side with Carew over there to Buchau and the ball to Carew. Carew gives the ball to Campanera. The ball was handled pretty fast, but Helms went down there real quick like. And he says, what's all the cheering about? Well, we have one of their own in the bat, right? Rusty, who plays right here in the Astrodome for the Houston Astros. Having a pretty good year. A pretty good year. I would say a great year. Batting .317.
Here was a young big bonus player that struggled. They sent him down, brought him back up again, and finally last year he found himself. When he caught up with big league pitching, he's still young. Looks like he has a brilliant career ahead of him.
Rusty Staub takes the first pitch. It's high for ball 1. .317, 5 home runs, 46 RBIs. Not bad. Things on the next pitch. Henry Aaron at third. Tommy Helms at first. Rusty Staub chokes up on that bat quite a bit. The shortstop and second baseman back at double play depth. He pops it up. Don Wirth at third of the Tigers underneath it. And takes it for out number 2. We're going to have a pinch hitter. Billy Williams of the Cubs. Our shortstop, Don Kessinger, batting .274. Now, fastball. He missed it. At third. Helms at first. Got 2 good base runners. Air ball hit out in the right. Tony Olivas would have no trouble with it. Underneath it and takes it for the 3rd out. And that's all for the National League here. The bottom half of the 6th inning. No run. On 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left on base. So the score at the 6th full inning, still the National League, 1 in the American League, nothing.
high. Dandruff. Bad dandruff. Try and fly away. And go. Then I tried it. Puts in luster. Puts in body. Puts in softness. Puts in control. Fights dandruff. And wins. Believe in Resdan.
And Wednesday night, Johnny Mathis, Jackie Vernon, and the Harper's Bazaar will be just a few of the guests when Big Ed McMahon hosts the Kraft Music Hall. The fun starts Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central Time, right here on NBC. We're going in the top half of the seventh inning, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure to bring in the old fisherman, Mr. Kurt Gotti. Come on in, Kurt.
All right, thank you, Pee-wee. And we have another pitcher now for the National League, Tom Seaver of the New York Mets. Fred Shanedean started Drysdale. He worked 3 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs. Marichal pitched 2 perfect innings. Steve Carlton put the side out in order in the 6th, and Seaver's on. Cardenas has gone to shortstop. Seaver working his second All-Star game in 2 years. He pitched the 15th inning last year and held the American League in check. Carew, Yastrzemski, and Oliva will be up for the American League in the top of the 7th. The American League has had only 1 base runner, Fregosi, who led off the game with a double. They have been completely handcuffed by the National League pitching tonight. Ball 1. Grounds a foul over toward the National League dugout. We've had a lot of changes. Mays is still in center field. He started the game. Aaron in right. Sano has stayed at third. Tommy Helms at second. McCovey at first. Only Yastrzemski and Carew are still in there for the American League who started. Change up. A little bounding ball. Charged by Cardenas. Has him easily, and there's 1 out at the top of the 7th. Now Carl Yastrzemski is up. He fouled out in the 1st and had a base hit taken away from him by Tommy Helms in the 4th. He's 0 for 2. The American League best scoring opportunity was in the 1st when Fregosi was on 3rd, 1 out. Yastrzemski popped up. Big shot, big shot. I remember when he first came up with the Red Sox, he used to cock that bat way up above his left shoulder, high over his head. Even higher than it is now.
And that's pretty high. No one else carries it that high, I don't believe.
No. It was even higher, though, then, Pee-wee. Triple Crown winner last year in the American League. He's behind in the count, 2 strikes. There's 1 out, nobody on. Just topped that one. Seaver, one of the brilliant young pitchers that the New York Mets have come up with. They have Kuzman, Nolan Ryan, Seaver, Selman. A 2-strike pitch. A ball to Yastrzemski. 19 men in a row have gone down for the American League since the 1st inning. Fouls it back. And even though the National League has, well, they've left 5 the last 3 innings. They've had 6 walks. They've had constant men on base, but they've been held to 1 run. strikes. Seaver's pitch to Yastrzemski. Foul again. When Yastrzemski first came to the majors, he was an opposite field hitter. He hit that ball a lot to left and left center. Gradually, as he's matured, he's opened his stance up a bit, he's learned to pull the ball. One ball, two strikes. Two and two. Seaver trying to hit that knees in that outside corner to him. Just missed it. Carl wears the protective ear flap. Bounces that one foul. I got Dale Smith, the third base coach, putting on a little show down there. Looking at first. We're in the seventh. The National League is leading 1-0. Got him on a fastball. Oh, they're two down, and Tony Oliva is coming up for the first time in the game. Oliva of the Minnesota Twins. He's hitting .281 with 13 homers, 44 runs batted in. Now, here's the type of batter who'll spray the ball all over. He'll hit the outside pitch down the left field line, pitch to the middle and the center, and he'll pull the inside pitch. You never know where he's going to hit. Very tough man to defense against. Two down, base is empty.
Hey, Tom, throw the ball, then run. This guy Frank with the bat. Throw the bat, baby.
There goes his bat into the National League dugout. And the foul is on top of the dugout. Oliva has trouble holding on to his bat. He sails it up into the stands. And he's done it so much around American League ballparks now. Those fans in back of first base in the box seats are always leery when he gets up there. Cheap pass.
Whole National League dugout waving the white towel, surrendering.
Two down, nobody on. One strike to Tony Oliva. And the pitch. There's a smash in the deep left center. That ball is, well, just missed a home run. Oliva's in a second with a stand-up double. And the American League has a tying run of second, two down. That's what we mean. He can hit the ball anywhere.
Kurt, I think he's a much better hitter when he's spraying the ball over the ballpark. It looked like last year he tried to bowl the ball more and didn't have as many years he had in the years before.
Joe Askew is up now for the first time. Askew batting .273 with the Indians. 2 homers, 23 runs batted in. So after 20 men in a row had gone down, Oliva has doubled. Strike one to Askew. We're in the 7th inning. 2 hits for the American League, 3 hits for the National League. A little high with that fastball receiver. 1-1. Oliva getting his lead at second. Strike 2. Dick Williams coming to the top of the dugout, looking out, yelling something at Askew. Way outside, 2-2 now to Joe Askew. Oliva at second. To join us late, the only run of this game came in the first inning. The National League's ahead 1-0. Looking high inside fastball. No runs for the American League. 1 hit. There were no errors. 1 left. In the middle of the 7th, the score is the National League 1 and the American League nothing. This is Kurt Gowdy with Pee Wee Reese and Sandy Koufax from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, and Sam McDowell is the new pitcher for the American League. This year he's won 8, lost 8, earned run average of 1.55, and he leads the majors in strikeouts with 168. Dave Johnson has gone to second base for the American League, replacing Rod Carew. Tom Heller of the Dodgers is up. He flied out his first time up. He's batting in the number 9 spot. Willie Mays will be on deck. That's a strike in the outside corner, 1-1. And Mel Stottlemyre of the Yankees starts to warm up in the American League bullpen. Both teams are out of left-handed pinch hitters. Strike 2 except Mantle, who can switch hits. There's Mays on deck. He's gone all the way tonight. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Foul back. One and 2. Stottlemyre. 2-2 to Tom Heller. His brothers that are umpiring the American League. Stottlemyre's won 11 games this year for the Yankees down in the 2nd division. He's done quite a job. Check swing. He was full, but he fouled it out of play. Heller leading off for the National League in the last of the 7th. There's that high hard one by McDowell. 1 away in the last of the 7th. And Willie Mays, the captain of the National League, coming up, the singles, grounded out flat. And has scored the only run of this game. No one has ever played Major League Baseball with more enthusiasm than Mays. Needs a little rest now and then, but he can still go at the age of 36. Look at that cut. Fouls it back.
Kurt, Willie likes those hard-throwing left-handers. That found out from experience.
One down, nobody on. 1 strike to Mays. Ball 1. Willie hit his 500th home run here in the Astrodome.
Right down here first.
A pop foul. That's fading toward the seats. Out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Mays. Mays is the oldest player in the National League squad. He's actually 37, and Mantle's the oldest on the American League squad. He's 36. One ball, 2 strikes. And McDowell strikes him out. Well, McDowell struck out 2 in a row. Now here's the top batter in the major leagues this year, Matty Alou of the Pittsburgh Pirates. 3 brothers from one family, the Alou family in the major leagues. Matty Alou, Philippe Alou with the Braves, Jesus Alou with the Giants. And he's hitting .344. He's a singles type hitter. Just infield bounder, little line drives, pokes the ball around, fouls it back. McDowell is wicked. He has that live fastball and a curveball. Really comes in and breaks off. He has as good a stuff as anyone in recent years in the majors. Strike 2. He's been erratic. See that curveball, Sandy?
Kurt, Sam's got great stuff. If anything that he's been accused of is being like a Tom Edison out there. He experiments and wants to throw every pitch that's ever been invented. And everybody that's ever hit at him said if he just stuck to the fastball and curveball, he'd never give up a hit.
There's a backhanded grab by Campanera. Safe at first base. Campanera is making that play that is so demanding in the shortstop, the long throw from the hole, and handled it very well. Watch this in slow motion. This is what they call that bang-bang play at first, Pee-wee.
You better believe it. Watch Campaneris. He goes a long way for this ball, and Manny Alou can fly. Watch this now. Watch him get in position. Braces himself on that right foot. Get something on the ball. Watch this. Just barely beat it. And that's how he hits. He hits him left and right, high hoppers, and beats him out. Good hitter.
Matty Alou at first, 2 down in the last of the 7th. The National League ahead 1-0, and Willie McCovey up has hit into a double play and struck out twice. Foul ball. You can see how McDowell's overpowering these hitters. They're checking swings on him. And they start, and they don't want to go through, and they're holding up, especially with that curveball of his. There's the curve breaking over. Right through. His curve is really active for him tonight.
Well, that sidearm curveball to the left-hand hitter is really wicked. So far, every left-hand hitter that's looked at it has wanted to get out of the way of it.
McDowell is quite a hobby. A woodworker. 2 strikes. There it is. He struck out the side. That was a quick and right around the knees. No runs for the Nationals in the 7th. 1 hit, there were no errors, 1 left. At the end of 7, it's the National League 1 and the American League nothing.
The terrifying events of the Boxer Rebellion in China are retold in the great movie 55 Days at Peking Saturday night. Charlton Heston, Ava Gardner, David Niven, and Flora Robson star in 55 Days at Peking, the great movie Saturday night in color. All-Star Baseball returns following station identification. This is the CBC Television Network.
Powell, leading off in the 8th inning, has taken ball 1 from Tom Seaver of the Mets. Powell has struck out, hits the ground ball to the right side. Tommy Helms digs it up, and there's 1 away. There was time called. Time was called. The ball had gone out of the National League bullpen and rolled out into the right field corner, and time had been called. Mickey Mantle had already moved up to the plate, was getting the hand. And now Boo Powell will come back to bat. There was no play on that pitch. But Powell gets another chance. They did not. Harry Wendelstedt had Paul Tyne down the right field line when a ball had popped out of the bullpen into the playing field. Somebody threw it away out there, warming up. And play was going on while time had been called by the right field umpire.
Kurt, think what would have happened if he would have hit a home run.
What happens if he hits one now?
Yeah. All right. So Powell, it's a new life up there. A 1-0 pitch to him. 1-1. Have to race the scorecard and take out that 4-3. A 1-1 pitch to Powell. Bounds at Powell. 1-2. Mickey Mantle is on deck to pinch hit. And he'll get a big ovation when he comes up. There's the Mick, the captain of the American League Star Squad. A 1-2 pitch. Struck him out on a fastball. One away in the 8th. And here comes Mantle. Listen to the applause. Wow, it's a standing ovation for him. And the pitch to Mantle. Strike to him. Mantle, the 16th All Star Game. Hitting .233 this year. Always a hard luck player. Plagued with injuries throughout his career. Over 529 lifetime homers. Ball and strike one. Now in the twilight of his career. American League has only one player left in the bench who's available for a pinch hitter, a non-pitcher. That's Wayne Josephson of the White Sox. Seaver throws him the slow curve. Change-up curve, and the count is 1-2. Only 2 American Leaguers have reached base tonight, both doubles. They've had 2 hits. And he struck out. Seaver has now struck out 4 men. In an inning and 2/3. Mantle gets a hand as he goes back. And the Tigers' Don Wirt is up for the first time. Tell you how brilliant this National League pitching's been tonight. Drysdale, Marichal, Carlton, and Seaver have not walked a man. They have struck out 8. The strike to Wirt. There are 2 down, nobody on in the top of the 8th inning. And there's a drive to right field. That ball may be headed in the corner and extra bases. Wirt is in the second. Aaron into Tommy Helms, and it's a double. The tying runs on second for the American League. Don Wirt doubling into the right field corner, and a left-handed batter, Rick Mundy of the Oakland Athletics, will be up. They have an odd thing right now down the National League bullpen. Bob Gibson is standing in front of the 2 pitchers warming up for the National League. We'll try and show you a shot of this. And this is a protecting. He is there. They have their backs to the plate. In case the ball line drive hit down that line, Gibson would protect them. Rick Mundy bounced out his first time. Takes the curve for a strike to the corner. Mundy should have years of stardom ahead of him. Played his baseball at Arizona State, as did Reggie Jackson and Sal Bando, 3 Arizona State players on that Oakland club. Fastball blown by him, strike 2. This Seavers is a tremendous young pitcher, isn't he, Sandy?
Sure, yes, he is. And, you know, a lot of people have remarked that he looks like Robin Roberts. He's a great competitor out there. He's got good stuff and good control, which you don't see in a lot of young pitchers, but you're starting to see it more and more these days, and I think that's why pitching is becoming so good now.
Struck him out. Seaver strikes out the side. He has struck out 5 men in 2 innings. The American League had no runs, 1 hit, there were no errors, and 1 left. At the end of 7.5, it's the National League 1, the American League nothing.
10 more blades to go.
5 blades to go.
3? Just 3 blades to go? That's it? I used up all the old blades? Now I can use the new Gillette Super Stainless Steel blade with the miracle plastic coating on the edge. They say it's supposed to spoil you.
Gillette Foamy Shaving Cream. So creamy rich. So creamy thick. So creamy moist. So creamy smooth. In fact, in every 11-ounce can of Foamy, there are 5 pints of cream. Can your shaving cream measure up to Gillette Foamy?
We have a new pitcher for the American League, Mel Stottlemyre, the New York Yankees. He's won 11 and lost 5. A 2.30 earned run average this year in his second All-Star game. Well, he'll be the 5th pitcher tonight for the American League. They've had Tiant, Odom, McLean, McDowell, who struck out the side in the 7th, and now Stottlemyre. And the strikeout pace is quickening. Seaver struck out the side in the 8th. Hank Aaron played all the way. Walked, struck out, single to left, but he's stolen a base. Ball 1. Stottlemyre is a sinker ball pitcher. His fastball, natural action is to come in and sink to the batter. And when he's right, you'll see a lot of ground balls hit against him. They top it. Ball 2, 2-0. The late tuners in. The National League scored in the 1st inning. Mays single. Went to second on an error by Killebrew. They tried to pick Mays off first. Blood walked, McCovey hitting a double play, and Mays came in to score from third. And that's been the only run of this ball game. 2-1 to Hank Aaron. The Nationals had 4 hits, the Americans 3 hits. The National League has not walked a batter. Foul ball in the American League dugout. Stottlemyre's been a workhorse with the Yankees the last 3 years. He's pitched over 250 innings each season. That's strike 3. Aaron caught looking. 1 out in the last of the 8th. And Ron Santo is coming up. Now, wait a minute. Dick Williams, the American League manager, has come out on the field. And he is waving Tommy John, the left-hander, in. The Stottlemyre faces only one man. Williams said before the game that he wanted to get every player he could in. He's got a right-hander, Gary Bell, working. So there's a break in the action here at the Astrodome. The score is the National League 1 and the American League 0.
Introducing your Plymouth dealers win-you-over specials. Specially equipped Plymouth cars at specially reduced prices. These are the extras most people choose. And one of the most popular Plymouth cars is this Plymouth Fury. Put these extras on this Fury, and it becomes one of the Plymouth win-you-over specials. If you buy one now, the price on these extras is reduced up to 50%. Come and see the savings on these exciting win-you-over specials. Specially equipped Plymouth cars at specially reduced prices. At your Plymouth dealers now.
And the beat goes on. And the beat goes on. And the beat goes on. Yeah, the beat goes on. The Plymouth, the win-you-over beat goes on.
Stottlemyre pitched to one batter. Now Tommy John of the White Sox is on. Ball 1 to Ron Santo. There's only Josephson has gone behind the plate of the White Sox. And only one man of the American League has not been in this game, and he's warming up now in the American League bullpen, and that's Gary Bell of the Red Sox. A 1-0 pitch. Fly ball in the shallow left. Yastrzemski grabs it on a hop, throws it in, and Sano's on with a 5th hit for the National League.
Kurt, all the fans watching this game tonight, if they have color television, they've seen all that beautiful grass out there on the infield. Of course, they know that it's not grass, it's AstroTurf. And it's quite an unusual thing. It's made out of nylon. It's about a half-inch thick. It's got about a 1/4-inch pad underneath it, 3/4-inch pad underneath of that. And they lay this thing down in 15 feet wide strips. And about 200 feet long, Kurt. And it's put together with a zipper. And this, they say they have over 3 miles of zipper in the outfield and infield. That's the longest zipper in the world out here in Texas. Well, that's where it belongs. Tommy Helms hits the ground ball to second. Johnson tags the base runner and is out at first. A double play. Dave Johnson, the blue foul. So the National League in the 8th inning had no runs, 1 hit, there were no errors, nobody left. At the end of 8, it's the National League 1 and the American League nothing.
Ever find yourself dragged to a party when you had a headache and didn't want to go?
We're going to have a good time tonight.
Yes, what took you so long? Oh, well, don't just stand there. Come on in. Hey, everybody, look who's here.
Look for sympathy and you find no one really cares about your headache.
That's too bad. You should take something for it. Mabel, the sandwich is ready yet?
You gotta try this cake.
Honey, come here. I want you to meet somebody.
So you start feeling sorry for yourself.
Honestly, honey.
And when you just can't take it any longer, maybe then you remember Anderson. Minutes later, the pain is gone.
Everything all right, honey?
And suddenly it feels like a different party.
What are you doing anyway?
So next time, don't look for sympathy. Look for Anderson.
The American League is coming up in the 9th inning, trailing 1-0. Unless they tie or rally, they're going to lose their 6th game in a row. The All-Star history has had 2 chapters. The early chapter, in which the American League dominated. They led 12 games to 4 after the 1949 game. They had a complete edge over the National League, and since then, the National League has won 16 of the last 21 All-Star games. The last American League win was at Chicago's Comiskey Park in 1962. All right, we have Ron Reed now, the Atlanta Braves, on the pitch. Philippe Alou has gone into left field. Ron Reed, an ex-basketball player, has won 8, lost 4, with an earned run average of 3.20. And it's the top of the American League batting order: Campaneris, Dave Johnson, and Carl Yastrzemski. The American League has had 3 hits tonight. They've all been doubles, but the National League has not walked a batter, their pitching staff. While the National has received 6 walks. Campaneris hits a bounder to Sano, and quickly 1 away in the top of the 9th inning, and the American League down to their last 2 outs. Dave Johnson's up for his first time with the Baltimore Orioles. Our statistician tonight has been Alan Roth, our production stage manager, Jim O'Gorman. Javier Perez has gone to third, replacing Sano. Javier has gone to second, replacing Tommy Helms. Dave Johnson takes the strike. There have been 3 shutouts in All-Star games, and there have been no 1-0 games. And right now it's 1-0 in the 9th, 1 out. Foul back at strike 2. Well, this game has just carried a pattern that we've seen all year of a tremendous pitching year in the Major League. Shutout after shutout, scoreless innings, strikeout records. I want Sandy Koufax to talk about this because there's been a lot of arguments going on. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Fouled away. Sandy, they say it's the hitters. They can't hit anymore, and other fellows say No, the pitching's better than ever, especially the young pitchers. What do you think?
I think the young pitching and the newer ballparks have a lot to do with it. I think years ago, pitchers didn't get to the major leagues till they were 26, 27, 28 years old, where today they're here when they're still throwing hard and know how to pitch. They get behind the hitters, they throw the curveball. We had Tom Seaver, I guess, is only 23, who had a great year last year, and he was 22. Carlton, who's just a young fellow also. And these boys know how to pitch before they get here, and they're only 21 or 22 years old.
A 1-2 pitch is a changeup by Ron Reed. He pulled the string. This is what you're seeing now in young pitchers. Change of speeds, slider, curveballs behind 3-1, 2-0. They're getting outstanding coaching, evidently, and all through these farm systems of these teams. And while they're young, they still have their hard stuff. And they all got pretty good control. The 1-2 pitch, foul back.
Kurt, I think even some of your older pitchers, not old, but older, talking to Bob Gibson last week, he said that now he has more faith in his breaking ball and the fact that he can get it over anytime he wants. And even he's improving, and he's not a kid anymore. He's 32 years old.
Here's the 1-2 pitch to Dave Johnson. The crossfire delivery's inside. Ball 2, strike 2. Yastrzemski's on deck. It's 1-0. The National League leading in the top of the 9th. The American League is 1 out, nobody on. Ron Reed of the Braves in the mound. Strike 3 right in there to him, a fastball. That was right down the middle. Ten American Leaguers have struck out tonight. 6 in the last 2 2/3 innings. And now they're going to bring a left-hander on to pitch to Yastrzemski. Gary Koosman of the New York Mets. Well, there's a break in the action here at the Astrodome. The score is the National League 1 and the American League 0.
Tops in sports. Watch CBC television.
Gary Koosman, 24 years old, from Appleton, Minnesota, the New York Mets. 11 wins and 4 losses. Dinner now trying to get the final out of the game if he can. And pitching Yastrzemski, who takes ball 1. Yastrzemski is fouled out, grounded out, and struck out. Left-hander against left-hander, and Bob Gibson is starting to warm up in the National League bullpen just in case. The 1-0 pitch. Ball 2. And also Woody Fryman. There's Gibson, the tremendous pitcher of the Cardinals, and Woody Fryman, number 22 of the Philadelphia Phillies. 2 balls and no strikes. Tony Oliva on deck, a left-hander. Strike 2-1. We've had 19 strikeouts tonight. 10 American Leaguers have struck out, 9 Nationals. Fastball, 2-2. Four of the last 6 American Leaguers have struck out. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 down, nobody on. He's striking out, and the National League has again defeated the Nationals, the American League. The final score, 1-0. And the National League pitching staff, brilliant tonight, did not walk a batter and struck out 11. The scoreboard, the $2 million scoreboard going off. And once again, pitching, completely dominating baseball's top all-stars. So the final score again. The National League had 1 run, 5 hits, and no errors. The American League, no runs, 3 hits, and 1 error. Astrodome, the National League wins it 1-0. Right now, let's go down to the playing field. Pee Wee Reese and his guest, the captain of the National League, Willie Mays.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. Thank you very much. And it's always a pleasure to see this fella. Had the opportunity of playing against him for a number of years. Willie, you never seem to lose your enthusiasm.
Well, I think when I do, Pee Wee, I'll probably quit, but I don't want to lose in a game like this. I think I'm playing against the best in the American League, and I'm just thankful that I had a chance to start at least in the All Star game. I was sorry that Pete got hurt, but when I first came in the dugout to Pete, that's your run, but he laughed about it. But again, it's always a pleasure to play in a game like this.
Well, talking about Pete Rose, it's a pretty nice thing for this fellow to come down to this All-Star game. Maybe he could have gone fishing someplace, but he still wanted to come to the game.
Well, I hear a lot of guys say, well, gee, I want those 3 days off, but I don't think that's true, Pee Wee. I think when you get an opportunity to play in a game like this, you want to come and just be among the 25 guys we have here.
Willie, the pitching, especially in the All-Star League, in the All-Star game, why is it so strong? You have any reason for it?
Well, I think is that we don't see the pitches enough, Pee Wee. I think a guy like Odom, I didn't know what he threw, and by the time you get used to him, he's out of there. So I think it's the lack of not seeing a pitcher over the course of a year. I think in National League like this, when you play a series against a club, you know just about what each pitcher would do. But in the All-Star game, they're out of there so quick that you just don't know anything.
Could it be, too, that the pitchers know that they only have to go 2 or 3 innings, they can throw a little harder, don't have to pace themselves?
Could be. I understand they can only go 3, and you might be right in there.
Willie, you've had quite a long career. Any idea how much longer you can go?
Well, Pee Wee, I really don't know. I think my body is in really good condition right now. I don't think I'm slowing up to the matter that I'll be able to quit. I'm not embarrassed myself out there, but I'm not hitting like I should when I was 20 years old. But, well, who is, though? But guys that are 37, 38 years old are not even playing. So I'm very thankful that I can go the pace I'm going with the type of body that I have.
Thank you, Willie, and I guarantee you, pal, you'll never embarrass yourself. Thanks a lot for dropping by.
Thank you very much for having me, Pee Wee.
Okay, Willie. Now then, back up to Kurt Gowdy and Sandy Koufax in the booth.
All right, thank you, Pee Wee, for another nice job. And this was the first 1-0 shutout in All-Star history. We've had 3 previous shutouts. And also, both clubs set a new record for the fewest hits by both teams, 8 in a game. We had 20 strikeouts, Sandy. Good fielding, especially early in the game, by the National League infield. And, of course, the big factor was the National League pitching staff not walking a batter in the game.
I think that's a big factor, is the fact that they didn't give up many hits, but if a couple of men have been on base on balls, maybe you give up 1 run. Tommy Helms did a great job defensively, as you said. And it's always a pleasure to see the guy that Pee Wee had on. I don't, like Pee Wee said and Willie said, his enthusiasm never stops. I think he's great.
I'll say one thing, both managers tried to get everybody in there.
Yes, they did. They got everybody but 2 pitchers on the National League team and 1 pitcher on the American League team.
There were 47 players in the game.
Well, I think it's great. I think we ought to mention the guys that didn't get in. It was Bell for the American League and Bob Gibson for the National and Woody Fryman.
All right, and that's the story, and thanks to you again, Sandy. Sandy Koufax, Pee Wee Reese, and Kurt Gowdy here from the Astrodome. Once again, the National League wins it 1-0. This game is authorized under television rights granted by the Commissioner of Baseball.
Every week, there are many ringer accidents, mostly involving children. Watch. Mother has left the ringer running while she goes to answer the phone. Little girls like to imitate Mommy. They want to help with the cooking and cleaning. That's okay. But this isn't. Never leave a ringer operating by itself. Shut it off. Similarly, when a workman has to leave his machine, he should make sure it's shut off. At home and at work, machines should be shut down safely before leaving. By doing so, you will help prevent accidents. Remember, don't let an accident separate you from your family or paycheck. Presented by the Industrial Accident Prevention Associations of Ontario and this television station.
The 1968 All Star Game has been brought to you by
Quality engineered cars and trucks from Chrysler Canada Limited.
Gillette, makers of super stainless blades and foamy shave cream, and by the makers of Resdan. This is the CBC Television Network.